And I see a lot of holes in his game, so I do think we can see an early knockout.
All right, Jake, you said that this is going to be your best performance to date. Why do you say that?
I say that because styles make fights, and Chavez is a come-forward fighter who keeps his hands up, which opens up a lot of holes for me to hit him. And the way our styles match up, he's just gonna get picked apart. And I haven't really been able to showcase my full new skill set to the world in a couple of fights. Mike Perry is just like sloppy, so I had to pick him apart. Tyson, I just didn't want to get hit by one of his massive shots, so I had to just be careful. This fight is just going to be an offensive war.
Yeah, for sure. So how did the Julio Chavez Jr. fight come to be?
Well, basically, we've been wanting to fight him for a while, and when the other Mexican pussied out, he was sort of the next one on the list, and he agreed to do it. I agreed to do it. It's a good fight. Former world champion, professional boxer, 50-something fights, 30-something knockouts, and he's a very, very tough opponent, and at this point in my career, it's just a really good fight.
So is that why he was on the Perry undercard, so you guys could like square him up? Because that was his first fight after being gone for a while, right?
Yeah, we wanted him to get some activity in and get a good fight against Uriah Hall, size him up, build him up as an opponent, and then take him out. That's sort of the game plan, MVP game plan.
Do you think that Chavez will be your toughest fight to date?
Do I think Chavez will be the toughest fight to date? I think it very much could be. They say he's training hard. His father said he's the most impressed with his training camp that he's ever been. And he's a very, very tough guy. But I also know what I'm capable of, and I see a lot of holes in his game, so I do think we can see an early knockout. I believe I'm gonna catch him because he has a lot of defensive openings. Very flat-footed, very square. So it could be tough, or it could be an easy night.
What does Chavez Jr. bring that's different from your recent opponents like Tyson, Perry, Borland, and August?
Chavez is definitely the most experienced fighter I've fought to date, and he has his youth still, and he basically knows that this is do or die for him. I can ruin his whole entire legacy, even his dad's legacy, in this fight by embarrassing them and doing something that no one else could. And he can also make his legacy come to a conclusion by beating the YouTuber Disney kid and getting me out of the sport of boxing.
What do you think is like your most expensive art piece in here?
I mean, my most expensive art piece is definitely the astronaut. I don't even want to say how much it was, but inside the house, I guess you could consider the fish tank a piece of art. That was $250,000. What else is expensive? This floating rowboat, riverboat, is also very expensive. Joseph Klebanski. This is 6 figures. This is actually the tree from Kung Fu Panda, if you've seen that. This is the actual tree. We got a Louis Vuitton boxing bag.
So Coach Larry Wade says that you've been lifting a lot heavier and that you've put on a lot of muscle over the last year or so. Is this gonna be the strongest Jake that we've seen?
For sure. You know, I'm coming into my prime as a man, 28 years old. They say you're the strongest when you're around 30 as a man. So I just feel myself developing more as an athlete and just continuing to grow my strength and my speed as time goes on.
All right, both Chavez Jr. and Tommy Fury are both orthodox fighters. How do you think that Chavez Jr. compares to Tommy? Over 6 foot, they have more traditional style, all that.
I would say Tommy has more speed and power and is more of a boxer, running away, using his footwork to move around. whereas Chavez likes to make a fight happen, come forward, engage, and is more methodical, takes his time, goes a lot to the body.
You do a lot of like meditation, visualization. Oh, yeah. How do you see the fight going?
I see me breaking him, and I know he's a quitter. It's just in his DNA. And once you quit once or twice, it becomes habit. In boxing, I'm gonna break his spirit. He's gonna feel my power. And I think he's either gonna quit or get knocked out pretty early on.
So looking at future fights, if you get past Chavez Jr., do you think you will rematch Tommy Fury? If you do, how does that rematch go and what's different now compared to the last time you two fought?
Yeah, I definitely think that will happen at some point. Tommy just has to be realistic about what he's worth and taking the amazing deal that we had. I can fight many big name opponents. All Tommy has is me, but I do want to make the rematch happen, and I definitely know that I'm going to destroy him, knock him out based off of his last fight. He hasn't gotten any better, whereas I've had 2.5 years more of experience and better preparation, better coaches, better diet, better everything. So I'm just a completely different boxer than I was when we got into the ring the first time, and he hasn't improved much. You know, he's been doing this his whole life, so his level that he can get to is not going to change much, versus every year that goes by I can increase exponentially. This is Chef E, my amazing nutritionist, and he gives me food in my mouth. He puts it in my mouth.
I do put it in your mouth.
And that's my guy. Yeah, this is probably the sexiest part of the house. This is probably the #1 collector piece. This thing is rare.
It's right-hand drive. You imported it then?
Yeah, this is from Japan.
What's above us? Ford what?
This is a 1958 Ford Fairlane. But yeah, these are all just rare pieces. We got the mini G-Wagon, the Cyber Beast Tri-Motor, 1,000 horsepower TRX.
All right, so what fights do you ideally want after Chavez?
After Chavez, I think Gervonta Davis, Anthony Joshua, KSI, Tommy Fury, Ryan Garcia, Badu Jack. There's a pretty hefty list.
Tell us about the path that Jake Paul is on towards becoming a world champion.
Man, just the path I'm on to becoming a world champion is very close. I feel like we're at the end of that path where it's going to be time very, very shortly. I believe that I'm at the level of these guys and can give these world champions a run for their money. So I think it's going to happen sooner than we think, and I think Badu Jack is the person to go after for that.
You had this whole thing with Canelo, and then he backed down. We talked about it a bunch, but then he just had his fight in New York, and there was a lot
in Saudi.
In Saudi.
Yeah.
And then that was super disappointing for people. People weren't like super stoked on that. Talk about this. Like talk to people again about like what happened, how you feeling now.
Yeah, I think it's just a question of like who actually is the face of boxing, who's giving their fans what they want, who's putting on exciting fights around the globe that everyone wants to tune in for no matter who they're fighting. And I don't know if Canelo has that power anymore. And no one even knew about that fight, watched it. It was a complete flop, and it was a terrible, boring fight where he had a terrible performance. So.
Do you think he's gonna sign a fight with you after he's done with the Saudis?
Who knows? Who knows with these guys? They say they want to fight, but even Terrence Crawford was like, I need $200 million to do it.
Last year, with traditional boxers, with great records and accolades, you stopped them both in the first round. What did those fights each teach you?
I think it just shows the level I'm on and that I'm ready for the serious opponents in the game, like Anthony Joshua, like a Badu Jack, and I'm ready to challenge myself more, and that even someone who's 18 and whatever, 10-0 or 12-0, they can only be in there for 2 minutes with me. So I'm just ready to challenge myself more, and that's what this Chavez fight's about.
If you had to assign one of these cars in your collection to your fighting style, which car best describes your fighting style?
Oh, that's a good question. Damn. I would say the Ram, the Dodge Ram.
Yeah. Why? Because it's got speed?
Well,
How many horses?
big.
1,000 horsepower?
It's 1,000 horsepower, but it's big, it's fast, all metal bumpers all the way around. It's loud, it's proud, and it's fucking American made, baby. Damn, I just cut a promo for them.